The great red sun hung low over the thorny plain, casting long, twisted shadows from the petrified trees. Upon a solitary, weathered rock she was bound. The coarse fibers cut into her wrists and ankles, a deliberate cruelty. Her people, the graceful, silver-skinned inhabitants of the floating forests, did not end their criminals this way. This was the justice of the Cathar, the scaled hunters who claimed the barren lands. She had trespassed, they said. She had stolen sacred water. The sentence was exposure. The beasts of the dusk would handle the rest. She did not struggle. The will to fight had been bled from her over the long march to this place. She watched the sky bleed from orange to a deep bruised purple. The first chilling howl echoed in the distance, a sound that turned the air to ice in her lungs. They were coming. A second howl, closer. She closed her large, luminous eyes. She thought of the forest canopy, of the soft glow of home moss. A scrape of stone on stone made her flinch. It was not the padding of a beast's foot. It was something else. She opened her eyes. A figure stood at the base of her rock, looking up. It was unlike any she had seen. It was not tall, not by the standards of her people or the Cathar. It was clad in a simple, stained environment suit, its helmet visor reflecting the dying light. It moved with a heavy, deliberate solidity. A human. She had heard tales of them. Loud, chaotic beings from a distant world, newcomers to this sector. They were not part of the local covenants. They were outsiders. The human climbed the rock with a practical, ungraceful efficiency. It stopped before her, a silent, faceless shape. She expected greed, or perhaps a twisted mercy that would be worse than the beasts. Instead, the human simply reached to its belt and drew a small, flat tool. With a precise click, a blade of pure energy hummed to life. It was not a weapon for hunting. It was a tool for cutting. The human leaned forward. She tensed, but the humming blade went not to her, but to the bonds at her wrists. The fibers parted with a faint smell of ozone. Then it freed her ankles. The touch was impersonal, clinical. Rubbing her sore limbs, she stared. The human retracted the blade and gave a short, sharp nod, as if completing a minor task. It then turned its back to her, surveying the darkening plain. A low growl rumbled, not from the distance, but from the shadows at the foot of the rock. Emerging from the gloom were three beasts, their forms lean and hungry, their hides like cracked leather. Their eyes glowed with a sickly green phosphorescence. But they did not leap. Behind them, a larger figure appeared. A Cathar hunter, its scales the color of dried blood, stood holding a barbed spear. It was the one who had tied her. Its forked tongue tasted the air. Interloper, the Cathar hissed, its voice like grating stone. This is not your world. This justice is not your concern. Leave the prey and go. The human did not move. It stood between her and the edge of the rock, a barrier of worn fabric and silent resolve. The Cathar snarled, a sound of pure annoyance. It gestured with its spear. The three beasts, obedient to their master, began to slink up the rock, claws scraping on stone. Their hunger was a palpable force. The human moved. It was not the fluid dance of her people, or the coiled spring of the Cathar. It was a deployment. It stepped forward to meet the first beast as it lunged. There was no elegant dodge. The human caught the creature by the throat and the hinge of its jaw with both hands. A violent twist, a sharp crack that cut through the growls. The beast went limp. The human dropped the body and turned to the second. The second beast leapt for the human's back. The human dropped low, letting the creature sail over, and as it landed, the human's boots stamped down on its neck. Another sickening crunch. The third beast hesitated, circling. The human picked up a loose stone, heavy and jagged. When the beast charged, The human sidestepped and brought the rock down on its skull with a final, terrible thud. Silence, save for the whistle of the wind. The human stood amidst the fallen beasts, its visor still fixed on the Cathar below. Its breathing, amplified by the suit's systems, was a steady, rhythmic rush. The Cathar leader shrieked in rage. Its honor was now at stake. It scrambled up the rock, spear held high. "You will die with her, soft thing." It spat. The human waited. As the Cathar thrust the spear, the human did not try to grab the shaft. It stepped inside the thrust, its motion brutally efficient. One hand clamped around the Cathar's wrist, halting the spear's momentum. The other hand shot forward, not as a fist, but like a piston, the heel of the palm striking the Cathar's throat. The hunter gagged, scales rattling. The human maintained its grip, pulling the taller alien closer, off balance. Then it shifted. Its arm snaked around the Cathar's neck from the side, the other hand joining to lock in place. It was not a choke. It was a grip of terrible, specific intent. The human turned its own body, using its hips as a lever. It wrenched the Cathar's head sideways with a savage, twisting force. The sound was a dry, definitive snap, like a thick branch breaking underfoot. The Cathar's body convulsed once and went completely limp. The human held the position for a second longer, then let the body slump to the stone. It looked down at the fallen leader, then at its own gloved hands, as if confirming something. It then turned back to her. She was pressed against the stone, trembling. The violence had been so fast, so absolute. It lacked ceremony. It lacked rage. It was simply elimination. The human walked over. It knelt, its visor finally level with her face. For the first time, she saw past the reflection. The eyes inside were a strange, warm brown, focused and intent. The human reached to its neck, clicked the seal, and lifted the helmet. The air that hit its face was thin and cold. The human was male, his features blunt, his hair cropped short. Sweat gleamed on his forehead. He did not smile. "Can you walk?" he asked. His voice was rough, unused. She managed a nod, her vocal cords tight with fear and awe. "Good." He stood, replacing his helmet. "My transport is 2 kilometers east. Cathar patrols will come at true night. We need to go." He offered a hand. It was the same hand that had broken the neck. She stared at it. He waited, his expression unchanging. Slowly, she reached out and took it. His grip was firm, warm, and he pulled her to her feet with an ease that was unsettling. They climbed down from the rock of judgment. He moved quickly, without looking back, but he adjusted his pace to her stumbling gait. He did not speak. The journey was a blur of shadows and fear. Every rustle in the thorn bushes made her heart clench, but the human marched on, a steady, implacable presence. He was not stealthy like a forest dweller. He was just relentless. After what felt like an eternity, a shape emerged from the darkness, a blocky, utilitarian landcrawler resting on heavy tires. The human tapped a code into a panel, and the rear hatch opened with a hiss. Inside was cramped, lined with storage lockers and a single cot. It smelled of machine oil and stale air. He helped her inside, then followed, sealing the hatch. The interior lights came on, harsh and white. He removed his helmet again, stowing it. He went to a small cabinet, pulled out a water flask and a dense nutrient bar. He handed them to her. "Drink, eat." She did, the water tasting like life itself. He watched her for a moment, then began checking a scanner screen on the wall. "No pursuit yet. We'll wait for first light to move." She finished the bar, her strength slowly returning. The silence stretched, filled only by the low hum of the crawler systems. The image of the Cathar leader's falling body played behind her eyes. Why? She finally whispered. You did not know me. You risked the wrath of a whole clan. The human turned from the screen. He looked tired. I was on a survey. Saw them leave you. He paused, searching for the words. On my world, we have a saying. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good beings to do nothing. He said it slowly, as if translating in his mind. What they did was evil. I could do something. So I did. You killed them, she said, the words hanging in the air. I stopped them, he corrected, his tone flat. They chose the method. I chose the counter. There is no ceremony in it. No pleasure. It is just a thing that sometimes must be done, so other things do not happen. She understood then. The lack of rage, the efficiency. He was not a warrior seeking glory. He was a man who had seen a wrong and had the capability and the will to make it right. The violence was not an expression of passion, but a tool of last resort, wielded with a grim, precise clarity. It was terrifying. It was the most profoundly moral act she had ever witnessed. Thank you, she said. The words inadequate. He gave a single small nod. Rest, you are safe now. He did not say it as a promise, but as a statement of fact, as if his actions had already made it an immutable truth. She lay down on the cot, and for the first time since her capture, she felt a flicker of something other than despair. Outside, the beasts of the dusk howled, but inside the metal hull of the human's crawler, their cries were just distant, meaningless noise. She watched the human sit in the pilot's chair, his back to her, a silent sentinel against the dark. He was not a hero from the old songs. He was something new, and in his relentless, breaking strength, she found a fragile, unbreakable hope.